Hello friends, I'm Naavi of Naavi Academy. Today is 31st October 2024, the day of Deepavali here in India. And I would like to discuss today two or three important issues related to prevention of cyber crimes in India. Recently, the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, made a reference in his Mann Ki Baat about the rise of the crime called digital arrest. Since then, a lot of discussions are happening in TV medium and other places about the concern which the entire society has about this digital arrest frauds without arriving at any proper solution to control the rise of these crimes. I would like to discuss that particular aspect. Now, it is not only this digital arrest, but all other financial cyber crimes which have one thing in common. That is that the victim pays money out of his bank account and it goes into some other bank account. Now, this other bank account is that of the fraudster. And just as the account of the victim is maintained by any of the Indian scheduled banks licensed by RBI, the beneficiary's bank is also maintained by one of the Indian banks. Now, when a fraud is reported, even if it is after a delay, what is the role of this recipient bank needs to be discussed in the legal terms. This recipient bank is an entity which conspires with the fraudster for the fraud as well as the money laundering. This should not even be considered as a fraud. This is actually a terrorism, cyber terrorism on the bank account holders. So it is a very serious crime in which the recipient bank and its employees are involved, because the money cannot just vanish from the account of the victim. It cannot go immediately abroad. The only other route is conversion into bitcoins. Now, conversion into bitcoins is also something which can be controlled, because at present the government of India has been showing some kind of a forbearance for bitcoins, which should stop immediately. Today, people say that Bitcoin accounts are okay if there is a proper KYC. There is no KYC for fraud. Okay. So if at all a fraudster is giving a KYC, the KYC also will be a fraud. So all the Bitcoin exchanges which are operating under the guise that they are having some kind of a KYC is something which is unacceptable. And the only reason why the politicians are accepting this is because these exchanges could be corrupting the politicians. Even the Supreme Court at one point of time was guilty of giving a decision which was in favor of the bitcoins, because I feel that they were also not honest. The Reserve Bank of India wanted to put some curbs which the Supreme Court did not allow, and therefore the ministry under the leadership of Madam Nirmala Sitharaman also went with the Supreme Court decision and allowed these exchanges to operate, and therefore the entire market of cyber crimes is today thriving on this cyber presence of bitcoins and other private cryptocurrencies. Today, most of the ransomware is paid through bitcoins. Okay, now conversion into bitcoin also has to go out of a bank account of the victim. So either it has to be taken out in cash and exchanged, which is also another fraud, money laundering activity. Government should curb that. So if you are serious about the digital arrest crime, the first action to be taken is to actually curb the use of private cryptocurrencies fully and not allow even exchanges to work with KYC. And it is shameful that the government of India collects taxes on the Bitcoin transactions and enriches itself by the fraud. That has to stop immediately. Now, if this is done, then probably there is some reduction. Secondly, if money goes from the victim's account to another bank account, then that bank should be considered as a party to the crime. And apart from making them pay back the amount to the victim, even if there is a delay in reporting of the crime, the bank as well as its manager and its people, staff should be criminally investigated for any conspiracy, because the opening of an account for the beneficiary of the fraud is itself a very big fraud. It's a scam. So therefore, the recipient banks who open the bank accounts for these fraudsters must be stopped. And if that, along with this cryptocurrencies action is taken, then there is a meaning for the Prime Minister for having raised this issue. And who has got the authority for this? Obviously, Ministry of Home Affairs has got an authority. Then you have got the Ministry of Information Technology. They have to come together and somehow make this happen. Apart from this, I would also like to point out the recent emails, threatening emails being sent to various airlines, which also is a cyber terrorist activity. And this is proliferating because there is existence of email service providers like Proton Mail and VPN services, and they are all supported by the so-called dark web system. So the government of India needs to initiate actions to curb the activities of the dark web, curb the activities of these VPN services. Whatever action they have so far taken is insufficient, and what they should start doing now is that the use of Tor browsers or Tor or any other similar browsers and the use of VPN-based email services such as Proton Mail should all be made subject to license, in the sense that only people who are registered with the government authority should be allowed to open a Proton Mail account or should be allowed to use Tor browser, subject to certain conditions such as reporting back to the government from time to time about log records of their activity and giving powers to the government to actually make investigations if they find it necessary. And therefore, only the security analysts and others, genuine, honest people, will have access to these services, but the criminals will not have legal access. Okay, they can still continue to do it because the dark web is actually a criminal mafia. They anyway don't care for the law, but let them do it so that at least when they are caught, there is a law to ask them to pay for their illegal activities. So I wish that the government of India starts taking these three important steps, which is licensing the Tor browser and licensing the use of Proton Mail kind of services, and take action against the banks for opening accounts for the fraudsters with weak KYC and make them responsible. And also, as an additional feature, ban completely the use of private cryptocurrencies. If they take these four specific actions, then only the point of creating awareness through Man Ki Baat would be of any consequence. Thank you.